everybody, it's Tracy from Launch Tech Made Easy. And today I'm going to talk to you about landing pages. Super fun topic, right? I actually love creating landing pages because while they have a really definite purpose, they also involve a little creativity. There's a little bit of gamification to see if they're, what works and what doesn't. So I actually really enjoy putting landing pages together. So squeeze pages, landing pages, sales pages. If you're building a sales funnel, chances are you have heard all of these terms. And if you're like me, you may have wondered exactly what they all mean and how they're different. So today, I'm going to break all of that down for you. And at the very end, I'll be around to answer questions. So be sure to stick around and ask me your questions if you have them at the end. But the first thing you need to know about landing pages is the purpose behind them. Now, the types of pages I'm talking about today are different than regular pages on your website. They have a very specific marketing purpose, and their only goal is to get a person who lands on them to take action. So landing pages and squeeze pages are two terms that are used pretty much interchangeably. Today I'm going to stick with landing page, although I will say that I quite often get mixed up and say lead page instead of landing page, but you get the idea. Now the goal with a landing page is to get the person who lands on the page to take a specific action, to squeeze them into a decision. You see why they're interchangeable? So that means that a landing page isn't going to have the menu across the top that says about, blog, contact us. It's different than a page on your site because instead there's going to be just a single call to action on the page. Usually it's a really big, brightly colored button that you want the reader to see. And the only purpose for the page is to get people to click on that button. So in order to do that, landing pages use language and colors and graphics that are going to really draw the reader in and entice them to click the button. They tell us about the transformation that someone's going to get if they click through and purchase a product or opt in for a freebie. Now, landing pages can be used for a whole variety of reasons. So they can be a place for someone to opt in and receive a free offer. They can be a sales page that gives more information about a product you're selling. So in that case, they'd click instead of send me the free offer, it would be like a buy now button. They can also even be used as a place and way to collect email addresses if you're just getting started and you don't really have your whole website set up yet. Now, designing effective landing pages is definitely an art. So although it is possible to have them created from scratch, there are many, many different services that specialize in creating landing pages, and they really make sure that the landing pages that they offer convert really well. Because let's face it, a landing page that doesn't convert well isn't really worth spending any time on because it's not going to do what you want it to do. So this is one area of your business that I definitely recommend that you don't try to figure it all out on your own. You use a service to do it, but don't try to create your own landing page on your own website. Another thing that you really need to watch out for with landing pages are designers who will say to you, oh, I'll create a customized landing page for you so it doesn't look like anybody else's out there. That is a bad thing. You don't want to do that. And the reason you don't, there's a couple of reasons. One is when you do that, there's a very good chance that if you need to make any sort of changes, you won't be able to do that on your own. You're going to have to go and find the designer. Now, when you're just starting out, that might seem like a good thing, but trust me, this is going to become second nature to you. And if you find a typo in a landing page that you've created, you don't want to have to go find a designer to correct that typo for you, right? The other thing is, the other reason you don't want someone to create a brand new and customized landing page that doesn't look like anybody else's is because landing pages that look like other people's convert really well. That's why you see the same sorts of landing pages over and over and over again. Now, certainly people have customized. They'll change out their colors, they'll change their graphics, the language is going to be their own, but there are certain formulas for landing pages that just work. So this is one area where you really don't want to go too custom. Now, like I said, there are many services that provide landing pages, and they're varied. They range from lead pages, which has been around the longest and probably is really considered the granddaddy of landing page services, to add-ons or plugins to services that you might already have. GetResponse, for example, is an email service provider, and they also have some landing page templates if you subscribe to their service at a high enough level. Okay, they're upper tier services. Optimize Press is a WordPress plugin that you can add to your website. And then like Lead Pages, Instapage, and Unbounce are all separate services that you pay for as part of just the basic tools that you need to work online. Too often, I hear about new online business owners trying to save a few dollars by creating their own landing pages or by going with a cheaper, lesser known service. And although there are plenty of places that I do think a business owner can save money, like by not setting up a big fancy website off the bat, landing pages are not one of those areas. Because putting together a landing page is not only graphically tricky, it requires a lot of technology that the average person does not know or understand. And I teach tech, and I would not consider creating my own landing page for love nor money without using a service. So, how do you sort through the piles of choices to decide which one works best for you? Well, if you've hung around me at all, you know that my first recommendation is going to be you need to get in there and try it out. Sign up for a free trial and see if this is something that you can figure out and do. If it's not, it's probably not the service for you. Now, at first, they're all going to seem slightly cumbersome because this is a brand new skill that you're learning. And so you need to give yourself some patience with that, and you need to start, give yourself some time and be willing to play around. I promise you that the more that you get in and start doing this and you figure out the basics, the easier it's going to get, and pretty soon you're going to be setting up landing pages as fast as you can come up with opt-in ideas. So do think about the fact, too, that if you're trying out, say, 4 different services, that the first one is naturally going to feel like the trickiest one because you maybe don't know anything about landing pages yet. So if you start, say, with Lead Pages, and that one seems really hard, and then you move on to some other ones, and it seems like it's gradually getting easier, keep in mind that it might be that your skill level is increasing just a little bit, and so it's starting to seem easier for that reason as well. Next, you want to make sure that the service you provide has templates you can use without too much alteration. Now, if you're trying to promote a book and the templates are all for events, you're going to have a lot more work to do to get the template the way you want it. Some services have very few templates to work with, and templates are definitely going to be your go-to for quick and easy landing page creation. Also, you're going to want to check and make sure that the service you consider allows A/B split testing. Although you may not need this at first, it will quickly become apparent to you how important the ability to split test your landing pages is. Have you ever wondered, should I use the blue background or the white background? Should I use the grumpy old man or the happy, carefree young woman? Split testing is going to allow you to do that. Now, other things to consider besides the number of templates and the ability to split test is the graphic options that you have. Can you upload your own graphics? Do they provide graphics for you? I tend to like to upload my own because I make sure that my graphic on my opt-in form and on my freebie and on my landing page have a really coordinated look. So maybe that isn't the case for you, but that's what my preference is. Next, you want to think about whether the service allows you to customize. Now, in some cases, lack of customization is actually going to be the better choice for you. If you're not graphically savvy, customization might take your highly converting template and make it into a landing page that gets no conversions whatsoever. When Lead Pages first started out years ago, they only had a standard template creator where you could just plug and play the things that you needed to change. So you could add your own text, you could add your own graphics, but you couldn't really change the layout of the landing page. And their argument for that was, well, we know how these pages convert. So if we allow people to start changing a bunch of things, we aren't going to know if the conversion is going to be as good. And they really pride themselves on conversion. Now, due to market demand, they now have added a drag and drop, the ability to do drag and drop creation, as well as their standard templates that they've always had, their plug and play. And I'll tell you, even after many years, I prefer the plug and play, or what they call the standard templates, because they're just so much quicker and easier for me to set up. Now, as long as we're talking customization, here are some best practices for landing pages. You're going to want to make them as long as they need to be, but no longer. Sometimes it feels like people just kind of make it longer and longer and repeat themselves because that's what they've seen other people do. Don't do that. Give the information you need and then be done, right? Nobody has time to keep reading and reading and reading a bunch of repetitive information. If you're selling something, landing pages are going to be a little bit longer because they need to include more detail and definitely more transformation. But if you're just giving something away, like your freebie, you shouldn't need too much text because the freebie itself is going to be your juicy information. Likewise, if your landing page is hosting a video, you don't want a lot of text on the landing page, because if you have a lot of text on the landing page, no one's going to watch the video. So keep it really, really simple. Next, don't use more than 2 fonts. I prefer 1 font, and I'll go bold, or I'll change the color of the font if I want something to really pop. But certainly don't go nuts with fonts. You want your landing page to be very clear and easy to read. The content should be the focus. Next, make sure the page is in alignment with what you're offering. One of the biggest reasons that pages don't convert is that the page doesn't look like the Facebook ad or the blog post or the graphic image of the product that people saw that they clicked through and got to the landing page. So if you use a graphic with the title of your upcoming webinar on a Facebook ad, when they click on that ad to get to the landing page, you want the same image, the same colors, the same type of language. So if you're running multiple Facebook ads, you're going to want those Facebook ads to go to different landing pages. The copy doesn't have to be different, but you're going to want to change out the graphics or change out some of the wording so that your Facebook ad is very consistent with your landing page. Because if people feel like there's a disconnect, they start to think, ooh, what did I click on here? Did I wind up in the wrong spot? And they'll just leave. So make sure everything is very consistent. And that goes for the wording as well. Your title should be the same throughout. Make sure to check any filler text that was already on the template when you got started. So if you're offering a free checklist, make sure that the button that's on the template that came preloaded on the landing page that you're using doesn't say something like join now, because they're not joining anything. Let's say you're giving away a checklist. You want that button to say get the checklist, right? Because if it doesn't connect, if it says join now and they don't think they're joining anything, again, they'll be confused, or at the very worst, they won't trust you. Also, swap out colors in the templates if the colors that are in the template don't match what you're doing. Use your own branding, or at least use colors and branding that match the graphics that you're using. Online marketers that have been doing this for a while can spot filler graphics and templates a mile away. So take the time to customize it and make it your own. And pretty soon it isn't going to look just like everybody else's. Finally, make sure that you test the entire process. Try clicking all over that landing page when you test it, because sometimes in a template there might be a hidden link that you weren't aware of. So make sure that the freebie is delivered at the end, or that the checkout page pops up if they're buying from you. If you do all that, you're going to be well on your way to having landing pages or squeeze pages or sales pages that convert for you and bring clients to your door. So I don't see any questions today. So as always, if you have any questions after the fact, you can go ahead and pop them in underneath this video, or you can reach me at tracy@launchtechmadeeasy.com. I'll see you next week right here, same time, same place, 2 p.m. Eastern, for our next installment of the Launch Tech Made Easy Live. Bye.